All right, welcome everyone to this D2L with Dave and Paul and Craig webinar today. We're glad to have everyone here for session number 11, and I thought session number 11 would never come. I hope session number 6 through 11 never actually came, but that's just a joke. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're all here today. We're going to be looking at the features that exist inside of Brightspace. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Brightspace. So that's what we're going to be heading into very briefly. And then just delving into all the different features. So first and foremost, oh shoot, Paul, I had the wrong slide up here. I'm going to ask you to turn on your webcam as well. So I'll introduce myself. I'm David Gomes. I'm our board's technology-enabled and learning and teaching contact for the school board. I work in our student success department, and I am our e-liaison with the Ministry of Education for e-learning and for D2L or Brightspace. My co-host today is Paul Lonke. He is one of the special assignment literacy teachers in secondary. He was a past English department head at Essex District High School, and he been one of my e-learning teachers for the past 4 years or 3 years, and then next year will be his 4th. So Paul will be moderating and helping me demo things. So please feel free to intro yourself.
I'm also going to be watching the chat, so any questions that you have throughout the presentation, pop them in there, and Dave and I will both be keeping an eye there and doing our best to get questions to you right away.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we are joined as well by Craig Guthrie. He's our IT teacher consultant. And then I know you all know him from being an intermediate teacher himself. So Craig, I'm not sure if you want to jump on webcam and give a shout out. It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, no. Hello, everybody. Yeah, thanks for coming here. I know there's been a lot of interest in the Brightspace platform since we've started all this, and Dave really is the expert. So I really appreciate Dave offering this for the intermediate teachers. So thanks, Dave.
Awesome. And then I see your webcam coming up. So howdy. All right. So I'm just going to turn my webcam off so you don't have to look at this mean mug anymore. You'll be able to see the screen a little bit larger as well. So today we're going to be doing a lot more of what are the things you can even do inside of Brightspace. Not necessarily a how-to for everything, but we are going to break up into certain times and demo things very quickly. Now, I will let you know that you have all been added to a Brightspace course as well called D2L with Dave Teacher Course. I'm just going to share my screen very quickly just so you can see how you can access that. So if you go to the publicboard.ca website, and if you've never logged into Brightspace before, all you have to do is scroll all the way down on this publicboard.ca site and select D2L Brightspace in the quick links section. And if you're logged into Office 365 already, it should log you in automatically. If you aren't, then it'll ask you to log in through Office 365. And then inside here, a list of all of your courses will show up. You should all have this course called D2L with Dave, not the webinar series, that's the one that I've been using, but there's one called D2L with Dave Teacher Course. If you can't find it there, you can select your courses from this thing up here, which is called our mini bar. Type in D2L with Dave, and you got that teacher course right here. Okay, so this is just basically a space where everyone can kind of play around and kind of try to put into practice the things that we're going to be demonstrating for you today. All right, so let me hop off of that and get back into the slides here. So just so you know, this is where we're going today. We're going to do a lot. We're going to cover a lot. Again, I'm not going to go in depth into everything here, but what I will say is that since this is session 11, you actually have 10 other sessions that you can view. This is actually similar to session number 1, but you'll have 10 other sessions that you can view to go look at how to use it for assessment or communication or creating content. And then we did some subject sessions with secondary teachers as well. Paul, I'm just going to mute you for a second because I'm getting some feedback, okay?
Sure.
And I think I might be getting feedback from, yeah, there we go. Okay, so very quickly, I just want to talk about what Brightspace is. And Brightspace is a learning management system that's developed by the company D2L, Desire to Learn. It's the Ministry of Education provided learning management system. We get it for our school boards at no cost. It's referred to as the Virtual Learning Environment, or VLE. And it works with all of our, so when we say SIS integrated, that means it's integrated with Trevlac. So any courses that you have in Trevlac are going to show up inside of Brightspace already. That may not happen for teachers of rotary subjects because of the way that we've set this up. But if there is a course that you want, that's a non-SIS created course, then I can create those courses for you, and you're able to use them. So the user accounts and logins are safe and secure, and they're all accessed through Office 365. So if a student can't get in into Brightspace, it's because something's up with the Office 365 account. There's access to certain resources and tech integrations, and some of those can be like, My Blueprint launches directly from Brightspace. Previously, Gizmos and Turnitin launched directly from within there. And then you also have access to free technological and pedagogical support from the D2L's 24/7 help desk, the VLE consultant, who we have someone specifically from D2L, that's our consultant, and then your TELC contact, which is me. So my job is to support the implementation of the provincial learning management system. Okay, so we're going to look at a lot of these things again. I'm going to brush over a few of these quickly. But in terms of logging in, you can either log in from, that shouldn't say method 11. I think that was my control find and replace. So let's just say that that's going to be method number 1. I'm going to strike that out. Method number 1, you can go to the publicboard.ca website, and then you scroll down here, and that's now changed. Wow, how things have changed in a week, right? That's just the D2L logo, or the D2L icon that I showed you when we first logged in here. You can also launch D2L from your Office 365 apps, and then you can also launch it from just the gcdsb.elearningontario.ca site. So it is a safe and secure login through Office 365. Okay, and so since I already demoed that at the very beginning, I'm not going to show that immediately right now. Okay, so when you log into a course, and I showed you how you could do that already. So once you've logged in and you're at a course, you log in, you'll see the Brightspace homepage. And essentially what the homepage is the main landing page when you log in. It allows you to access the system level links up here in the main links and activities. For secondary teachers, it allows you to access the master courses. Elementary teachers, there's this widget down here called Elementary Preview Site, where you can access the ministry courses. Then there's also a D2L support widget down here under this Got Questions. There's 3 general sections, and I'm going to just highlight them on the screen for you here. The first section is your nav bar. So this is going to be your nav bar right there. And basically, they're quick links to things that you can use within Brightspace. The mini bar, which is up at the top, handles things like notifications, your profile, and your courses, because you can access your courses from this icon right here. And then finally, you've got the widgets section, which is everything below the nav bar. Okay, and that has things like my courses, or the support widgets, or if you want to add in system announcements, things like that. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is inside of your courses, they look very similar. So they look very, you've got a nav bar that's generic, you've got a home page that's generic, and from there you can modify it to look the way that you want it to look and to have the experience your students want to have. Now, I'm noticing in the chat right now there's just a question about rotary teachers in elementary. I will try and answer that near the end, because we can basically do whatever a teacher wants to do with these courses. We can merge them together, or we could treat them as 18 different courses, but that to me would be very difficult to manage. So we'll definitely remind me to get back to that near the end. Okay, so the nav bar is the navigation bar. It provides quick links to commonly used links or activities. It's located at the top of the screen. And in the home page, this nav bar can only be edited by the system administrator, which is me. In your courses, you have the ability to edit that nav bar. Okay. Now, Now, there are digital tools. These provide access to tools teachers and students can use without entering into some of their courses. So, for example, Bookflix is something that that was available inside their career. My Blueprint, Our Republic. There's a bunch of things that you can click onto digital tools in that main nav bar and access in terms of resources. Same thing with K-8 activities. Okay. The mini bar is it's the thing that's located at the very top of the screen, and that's something that can never be edited, but it's consistent on every single page inside of Brightspace. You can access the My Courses, which is this first icon here, message alerts, the subscription and update alerts, and profile and account settings. When you click on your name, this little drop down comes up, and you can view as a student. You can you can modify your account settings and things like that. And I say that this view as a student is probably one of the most important features inside of Brightspace, just because you can see what your students can do inside, or sorry, what your students can actually see. Now, one thing I will say is that when you think about what Brightspace can really do for you, Brightspace is meant to run online learning. It's actually been developed for online learning. And for this reason, we have multiple courses that you can have in here. And inside each of those courses, there's a lot of different things you can do. Okay, so when you look at the widget section on the home page, it is going to have all of the My Courses. That's probably going to be your largest widget, but you can add other things inside there as well. Okay, now widgets on this homepage can only be added by the system administrator, but they can be collapsed, and you don't have to view all of these if you don't want to. So, for example, you can expand the Office 365 link, or you can kind of hide it inside there as well. Okay, now I know this is all just kind of an overview of the home page. So I'm going to jump into demo my screen quickly, just so we can get a glimpse of that. Okay, so once we've logged in, you can see these are the different. This is the nav bar up here. If I click on digital tools, I get the access to Learn 360, OERB, Pebble Go, and if I click on these things, it just launches them, and I can get into those immediately. If I want to look for courses, I can select the course from up here, and I can see all the courses that I'm a teacher inside of, and those will automatically happen. If I select here, I can get to my instant messages or email, which is built right into Brightspace, and we'll cover a little bit later. And then right here, so this as well, that view as a student. If I click on view as student, it's going to show me exactly what a student would end up seeing. And usually you would do this in your classroom, just so that you can see what students are able to see and what they're not able to see. Okay. One very important thing that I know I'm going to be covering a little bit later, but if as an elementary teacher, you're looking for some content, down here on the side, you should end up seeing this elementary preview site. And essentially what this does is it allows you to go in and preview all of the different courses that the Ministry of Education has created for primary, junior, and intermediate teachers. So I'll click on the intermediate one, and you can see there's a grade 4 to 8 financial literacy, grade 7 and 8 math, history, language, career exploration, things like that. When you click into these different courses, it's going to give you a preview of all of the different activities, but it's not going to give you, you're not going to be able to edit these or use them with your students unless you load them into your course, and that's something that I would have to help you with. Okay, so if there is content that once you've previewed, you think you'd like to have inside your course, then and then use with students, then you'd have to let me know that, and I can help you load that content in. Okay, this year I'm going to be working on a way that that elementary staff can basically register for those master courses and then copy them in, similar to what I've done with secondary. So with secondary, you can click on the master courses link in the main nav bar, and then you go inside here and see, okay, here's all the business and computer science courses. Here's the guidance courses, and I can click on these courses and register for them, and then I can copy that content over. Okay, so, but that's essentially the nav bar, the mini bar, and then the widgets down here. Now you notice there are some widgets that are very useful. If you're logging in to using your teacher or a student account, then you'll see an icon or a widget here that says Office 365. Link your Office 365 account. And that would allow you to access your email, so your Outlook, your OneDrive files, and everything right from within Brightspace very easily. This is where you can find support. If you want to click on Find Answers here, you can either call into Brightspace or D2L, or you can get chat help from their D2L support line. And then at the bottom here, if you really want to, there's Microsoft Teams meetings, which you can launch from within Brightspace as well. But I'll provide a different support for that, or a different idea for that a little bit later on. Okay. So once you are inside of once you're inside of Brightspace and you go into a course, let's say, the courses are basically, we call them blank shells. You can do basically whatever you'd like inside them, but they come with a standard kind of look and feel. So when you access the courses from within the My Courses widget, you can either pin them or unpin them, and so that they show on your main screen or not. And students are automatically loaded into these courses. So the great thing about this is very similar to other learning management systems that you might be using. Very easy for your students and you as the teacher to get put into the course because it's done automatically. Now, there are some courses where you may want to have them created manually, and then I would have to create them for you and load in your students. But for the most part, all the students, at least homerooms, are created automatically for elementary. Okay, and then any type of customizations you want to make to the course itself are easy and able to be done. So we'll look at the course navbar and the course homepage, which is very similar again. The course navbar looks something like this when you log into a course. It can be edited by the teacher that owns the course. So this is not something that I'm the only one who can do now. But the default navbar includes a standard order of useful icons, and you can add more inside there. But the standard icons that you have are the ones that are shown there. And you can either remove or add links. You can add link groups, and usually what I would suggest is you want to focus on what students are going to access most regularly. So if your students are going to be doing quizzes inside here, then keep quizzes in there. If they're not going to be using quizzes, then get it out of there, right? Now you can also modify your navbar to remove the icons as well, which is what we've kind of shown down here. This navbar and this navbar are the exact same, just one has the icons and one doesn't. Okay. I'll go into the home page next, and then I'll show a demo of both of those things. And then Paul, would you be able to talk about content after? Thank you.
Sure thing, Dave. You got it.
Awesome. Thanks. So inside the course homepage, again, you've got the same type of look and feel as the Brightspace homepage, but you can modify a lot more inside there. So these homepages are controlled by the teacher of the course again. You can add or remove widgets depending on what you're going to want to use for your students. You can remove or change the banner image, and then you can modify however your course looks throughout the homepage as many times you want throughout the semester. So we've done things inside here like a Meet the Teacher widget. We've done things like a week at a glance, and Paul, as one of my e-learning teachers, he's created his own widgets for just information that he wants to share with students. Okay, so I'm going to demo the navbar and the homepage just so you can see some of that. So let's jump back into there. Okay, so I'm on my course home, or I'm on the Brightspace homepage right now, and I told you I would show you the pin and unpin. So when you hover over a course, notice you have the option of unpinning something and then it goes away, or if I want to pin it, I just go back up into the select a course up here. I find that course in my nav, or in the list. I select the pin, and then it will pin it for me, usually at the very bottom. So yeah, that one right there was just pinned. Okay, so that's how you can get quick access to them. When I go into a course, though, inside here you can see I've got a Meet the Teacher widget that many of you may not have on there. This is my nav bar. So if I want to, notice there's some extra icons on this nav bar. If I want to modify my nav bar, I'm just going to hover over the 3 dots here and select edit this nav bar. Usually you'll have to then select yes, I want to work with a copy of this nav bar. And that basically makes it your own nav bar, so you can then edit it. And then if there's links that I don't want, I'm just going to click the X on them. Let's say I don't want quizzes. I don't want Our Republic, but I do want something called, let's say I want announcements on there. And then you can kind of scroll through all of the pre-created links inside here and select add, and that adds that on there. Now, if I want to move these around, I just click and drag. So if I want Capture Central up here, or if I want announcements front and center, then I can do that. And then if I don't want the icon-based nav bar, I just toggle it off, and then all the icons are gone. You know, I happen to like the icon, so I'm going to just toggle it back on and click Save and Close. Okay, and now you can see that my nav bar has been updated here. Now, the other thing you can do is modify your home page. And so what you'll see here is that I have announcements as my widget over here, and then I have a custom Meet the Teacher widget. Below that, I have my activity feed. And then below that, I have my updates and calendar, and then content browser and course overview. And then I also have this thing down here called capture. Now, if I want to change that, there's a couple things I have to do here. What I'd have to do is go into the very bottom, and I can go edit this home page. But most of you won't see that right away. You have to go to Manage Home Pages first. And then you have to find the active home page that you've got right now. Usually yours will say Course Default, but right now I'm using this one as my active home page. So if I click this drop down and go Copy, then I'm essentially making a copy of that home page that right here that I can then change and modify. Then I select that copy from the active home page, and I select Apply. And now that home page becomes editable for me. Okay, so I know that this is probably a blur of information, and I want to tell you, you don't have to modify anything on your nav bar or your home page. But what I will tell you is that you do have the ability to modify this if you want. And you don't have to, though, if you don't want to. But now that I do have the ability to modify this, I'm going to go edit this home page, and I can go through all of the different home pages that, or sorry, the widgets that are on here. So notice announcements, Meet the Teacher, activity feed. I can just click these off if I don't want them. I can click and drag the widgets around where I'd like them to go. So let's say I want to move activity feed above announcements, things like that. Save and close. And what I will tell you is that there's going to be documentation for all of this stuff later on. So I want you to know that that if this is going too fast for you, I understand that. Okay. Someone got their mic on in the back.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you, Shannon.
Hang on a second. Who's got their mic on? Someone's got their mic on. Maybe not anymore. Okay. Well, actually, now might be a good time. So I've demoed a few of these things up here. Now, Paul, before we go into content, do you think you'd actually be able to demo for us how to add an announcement with a video note and an activity feed post?
Sure, sounds good. And an activity feed, sure. Announcement.
I'm just giving you presenter privileges.
Sounds good. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so first we'll look at how to add an announcement using video note. So I've just got the D2L with Dave course up here. So the announcements, again, are the main part of this homepage that we're seeing here. I can post announcements, and the homepage will show the most recent 5 announcements, with the most recent being at the top. Any below that, the students will have to click on Show All Announcements in order to get to all of them. So do keep in mind that it does scroll down there. And then there's also an activity feed, and I'll show you that later. That's on the side over here, and that's another way that you can do similar things. But in the announcements, if I want to make a new one, I go to announcements right here, and then there's the arrow pointing down, and I can just go right there to new announcement, and I give my announcement a title. I'm going to go with title. And then I can, in this field, I have lots and lots of options. I can put images. I can put quick links to discussions, assignments, or other parts of the course. I can insert images. This button is really useful, the one that you see that looks like a play button here, appropriately named insert stuff. So I click on that one, and that gives me lots of options. If I have files saved on my computers or in other places, I can put those in here. If I've recorded a screen capture, YouTube, all kinds of links. If I'm embedding something, I can do all that here. If I've made different modules, this is how I put them in. The one that's really useful that gets used a lot is the video note. So I'll just click on that, and it's quite convenient. It just uses my computer's camera, and I just click on it, and then I would say new recording. Hello, students. Welcome to our first day of class. My name is Mr. Lonke, and I'm happy to be your teacher. And then I just new recording. Stop recording. Welcome to our first day of class. My name is Mr. Lonke, and I'm happy to be your teacher. So if I'm happy with that recording, I click next, and then I give it a title. And then we have a description, and I'm just going to say greetings. Next. And what it will do is it will process this file. It says media files currently being transformed. And I don't have to wait for it to be uploaded and visible. I can just look at this image and say, okay, it's coming. I can insert it, or I can wait if I want. I'm going to get the same message right here in my announcement. And I can carry on from there and just say it will appear when it's ready. And then I can, with my announcement, I can make a lot of choices here. I can show a start date. So one thing that you may choose to do if you're using this would be to have announcements pre-made, and you can have them appearing at different times. So if you're one who likes to have your announcements appearing, every morning at the beginning of the day, or once a week, or however you have it planned for your class, you can make those announcements and then set them to appear at certain times, which is nice. You can have them disappear if you want. You can add attachments. There can be release conditions where students have to have completed something in order to see the announcement. But then I publish it, and there it is. This is what the announcements tool looks like, and it's going to give me a list of all the announcements in the course. And then if I go back to the course homepage, I will now be able to see under my latest posts. There we are. Sorry, under announcements here, there's my announcement. I've got my title, and I've got the video that I just added there. So easy to add. And I know that some teachers can be nervous sometimes about putting their face out there. Of course, I want you to do what you're comfortable with, and follow your own professional judgment. But it does increase engagement. The more you're putting your face and your voice in there, it really does help with that connection with the students. And I would also say, don't feel like you have to get it perfect. If you're stumbling over your words a little bit and making flaws, that's okay. The students appreciate authenticity, and they will forgive, the little errors that you make, and they'll just appreciate the connection. So that's something to think about. Okay, so relatively easy to post a video note using that. That's on the announcements feed, video note. Another way that we can do it is using oh, I see. Dave has moved the activity feed here. Okay, so that was for announcements that you see here. We also have the option of activity feed, and it's a similar operation here. The difference is this is a little bit more interactive. This is more like a Facebook or a social media type organization where students can then respond to the post, ask questions, and it's a little bit more interactive in that sense, where announcements is just unidirectional. I say things and they get posted. The activity feed is a little bit more interactive. So I can go here, and I can create my messages, and I can make attachments and add all the different things here. I can post at a certain time, or I can post later. And then the nice thing about this again is that students can respond. So here's a post that David made earlier, a link to YouTube. So I can just say, create link. So this is one way that you could have different kinds of discussions happening on the homepage right there. Okay. And I think that was it. Was there anything else, Dave, that you think we should talk about there?
No, I think you did a great job. Basically, again, those the announcements and activity feed are usually just the main communication tool from teacher to students, and I think using video note is just a stellar way of kind of hitting home with that and adding personalization to the course. I know you've probably experienced this in the last 3 months, but it's very difficult to have a personal presence in a virtual space. So video note is definitely a quick and easy way of getting that to happen.
Yeah.
So,
and video notes are not just able to be used on the announcements feeds. Those can be part of the content. They can be part of assignments. They can be part of discussions. So convenient, and you can use it in lots of places.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paul. So just to give you guys a little bit of a kind of a direction onto where we're going, the Edsby group that I created, it's called D2L with Dave Brightspace. I'm going to be continuing to create more videos to support teachers and documentation that will have all of these things outlined inside there, just so that I know today is going to be overwhelming, and I don't want to make it overwhelming, but I just want to make sure that everyone has an understanding of the power of Brightspace in running online courses, because that's what it's intended to do. So if we're online, if somehow you're in hybrid learning and you need a tool that's built for online, this is essentially what you can use. Now, before we move on, what I'd like to do is actually just I want to poll everyone. So I'm going to use a tool inside here and just ask a question. So I'm going to just change the presentation and type up a new question before we move on here. Just to give you your mind a little bit of a break. And I apologize. I think I know the answer for this, but hopefully this is a loaded question. So I'm going to ask, are you learning something during this session? And just at the top, I just want you to answer yes or no. I'll leave this poll open just for a few seconds, just to get some response. And I'll close that off in another 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. So 33% of you are learning. No, 100% of you are learning something. That's good. Second question, is the learning overwhelming? And I think I know the answer to this as well. So I asked the exact same thing. Is the learning overwhelming? And keep opening it up for another 5 seconds or so. All right, beautiful. Okay, so we've got another.
As you're interacting with the class, you can have them responding through the poll as well as the chat on the left side.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. So what I'd like you to do as well, I just want to demonstrate something. So what we're actually doing right now, so someone had asked earlier about virtual classroom. Virtual classroom is actually what we are using right now for this session. So if you're wondering what virtual classroom looks like, this is it. I know you can't see everything that we are that we're presenting right now. You can't see all the features that we have, but there are some features that we can use. So I'm just going to give you, about a minute to play around inside here. I'm going to turn on this feature called multi-user mode. And what multi-user mode allows you to do is basically everyone's mouse is going to show up on the screen in a second. And so if I asked you a question like, oh, go to your favorite corner of this space. I don't know. Let's say you're asking a question. You put some zones inside here. I don't know, right? Normally we would have a question. We'd have some pictures up here and we ask you to select one. But here's the fun part. On the right-hand side, you actually have tools that you can access for either a pencil or shapes or things like that. Basically just like I've been doing inside of here, right? So if you wanted to draw some things in, feel free to take the next 10 seconds or so, change your colors around, make some shapes. Look at that. And the neat thing is, if you're using virtual classroom, this can actually be done with students in the class too. right? So it's just a quick little flip of a button, and everyone has access to this. So I imagine you could do things like whiteboarding, or you could just ask questions, or students asking questions to students and have their annotations showing up on the side. You've got text inside there, and awesome. I'm going to turn that off just because it's getting a little crazy. Okay, so very nice. That's some good artwork. I like that. Okay, so we're gonna jump back into that presentation. So let me load up those slides again. But essentially, we've gotten into the realm of personalization here, right? So when we think about how we can personalize the learning environment, what we've done is essentially we can control what the messaging looks like to students in the homepage, and we can do that in multiple sections with announcements or activity feed. Many of our teachers use one or the other. You don't have to use both. You can use both if you want. To answer Najet's question, unfortunately, the virtual classroom doesn't have breakout rooms for students. We would have to pay for an extra feature if we wanted to have breakout rooms, and it's just way too costly. So our board doesn't have the funding in order to get the premium version of this. But this is the version that the province licenses for us, and so it's provided to our board at no cost. Okay. So Nakia, I believe that yes, you can have stuff preloaded into it. You can upload any PowerPoint that you want. So right now, I'm on my PowerPoint. If I gave you all access, you could draw on my PowerPoint. I just went to a blank screen so that we had it. And what we had been doing in the past with our other subject-specific questions was we would actually have 4 pictures up. Yesterday for phys ed teachers, I had who is the GOAT, and it was a picture of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Larry Bird. And so people just hovered over them, and so yeah, you can load in images, you can load in any PowerPoint slide. I find PDF files work best when you load them in, so that's what I've been using. But again, that's all going to be in some of the documentation that I create and share out throughout the summer. So as you're learning throughout this, what I don't want you to do is think that you have to learn all this stuff immediately and become an expert at everything. But that's why I'm recording all these sessions, so that when you have time to delve into certain areas, you can go back and look and see and do that learning. Okay, so we'll move on. I think I'll cover the content quickly now in the sense of when you look at content, the content in the nav bar, that's essentially where you would put all of your either created content or the content that's been copied over from a ministry course. Now, I can help with copying over ministry content, and currently for elementary teachers, I have to be the one who copies over the ministry content unless you already have access to it. For secondary teachers, you can access it all by yourself, except for specific courses like the Reaching Ahead. That's all going to be stuff that I have to do for you. Okay, but basically what you can do is you can use the lesson structure and create units. You can attach curriculum expectations and then add a multitude of different types of files. So I am going to demo that for you. And this is example of the ministry content here. So there's over 120 secondary courses that are available, and there's courses available for every grade in grades 1 through 8. With different subject areas. So all of them in math, there's some on financial literacy, some on geography, and all subject specific. Okay, so I'm going to go in and demo those for you. And I'll show you kind of like how you could do this from a blank slate, and then how you could do it from if you had ministry content. So I think
we did have one question. Haley was asking how we can add video notes inside the content. So I was wondering if in your demo you could just pop that in there.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Okay, so inside of here, you'll notice I have some stuff already created, but let's assume that I didn't have anything here. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go to a new course, and I'll load that one and just start adding content from there, brand new. Okay, So I go to the content in my nav bar, and this opens up a spot where I have nothing, right? I'm brand new. So what I can do if I want to add in my own content, I'm going to start by adding a new unit here. And when I add in my new unit, I can call this unit 1, or I can call it, math, whatever. Inside here, I can put in a description. So I'm just going to put this as my description. And what I can also do then is add in a number of different things. So I've got, this is a rich text editor. I can change the font. I can change the color. I can add tables, justify my text, bold, italics, underline. These 3 buttons, though, are extremely important. The first one adds in a picture. So I can add in an image. If I have an image on my computer, and it'll show up. I'm not sure what images I have here. So let's find out. Let's go to desktop, because that's, oh, come on. I'll load in from my desktop. Oh, that's a good picture. Look at that. Add that in. And I can put in an alt text, or I can just say that this is decorative. So I've got an image inside there. Now this isn't going to format nicely, but that's okay. The second one I can use is insert stuff. And this is where I can upload from a computer, or I can do add video note inside of here. So if I want to do add video note right there, you can see I can do that. Or basically I can put in any type of text I want. Now, this is just the folder though. So I wouldn't put too much stuff on the folder description, because it should just be the description of the unit. When you select the unit, then you can either add existing files if you have files, or create new files. So adding existing files could be something like adding a PDF file or a PowerPoint that already exists somewhere. If I go create new, it doesn't give me as many options. So I can create a new document or a link or an assignment, things that already exist or that I can create and link inside the course. One thing I'll suggest, though, is adding these things called lessons, and they're just folders, right? So I can call this lesson 1. Again, description. Oh. Description goes here. Okay, save that. And then now I've basically got folders. So I've got my unit, my lesson, and then I can create a new HTML document if I'd like, or I can add existing and either add from Google Drive, OneDrive, add those assignments or quizzes, or I can just drag and drop or browse for files. So I'll show you. I'll load up this file, and what's very nice about this is that when you load in a file here, they preview directly inside right next to it. So what I essentially have is so my lesson, I go down to this file, and it loads up right next there. And then I can just click on to the next thing. So if you have PDF files that you already have available, then you can just kind of load these things in, or you could create your own. And so by creating your own, if you go create new and then HTML document, that's essentially going to give you the same type of space here where you have the HTML editor, and you can create a document. Okay, so one thing you can actually do here, and I know I've shared this only a little bit with people, is you can select from these templates, and they kind of give your page a nice look and feel. So if I go basic page, and it kind of just gives me a nice look and feel to the page already. And then I can just highlight and, edit what I want. So here's my title. Here's my paragraph, and so on. Save that. And now again, that shows right in line over here. And I can add links inside here, and I can add images or video note, things like that. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that all of these have little eyeballs on them. And what that means is that essentially they are hidden from your students right now. So if I don't want my students to see this before I release the hounds, let's say, I can leave this as being hidden. But if I want them to see it, then I can start clicking on each of these things and then just select this visible link. So if I don't want students to be able to see everything, I can hide it, or I can make it visible. And then it works for the entire unit. So if I've hidden this as the unit, students can't see that at all, even though these aren't hidden. So if I unhide this, now they'll be able to see everything. Okay, and that's where I think this view as student is a very important use. So if I click on my name in the top and I go view as student, then what they're going to end up seeing is, if they go to content, they'll end up seeing all of that content just like that. Okay. So, and that's where you can add in the video note as well. Now, one other thing that I'd like to show you is if you've already recorded a video note and you want to put that video note into your course somewhere else, then inside this HTML document that I've created, I'm going to go in and edit this. So I'm on the document, I select the three dots, I select edit. And then inside here, if I want to put that video note right underneath here, I'm going to go to insert stuff. And then notice right underneath add video note is video note search. And if I select video note search, then I can search for any of those video notes that I have recorded in the past. And as you can see, I've been doing them a lot from home. I like using this one because it points directly to the play button. And then I can insert that. Okay, so if I recorded a video note previously, then I can insert it already inside here. Okay, now one other thing you can do, and I think this is also important, is tagging expectations. So notice up here, these expectations show as 0, but if I click on the expectations inside here, I can add or remove expectations, and then I can load in the specific expectations that I want for this course. So I can create my own expectations if I want. So if it's not something that's from the curriculum, or if I want to import them from this achievement standards, I can select Ontario and then go through and just say, okay, well, this is for, math, but it's for grades 1 to 8, and it's for grade 5. No, we'll do grade 7. And now I can add in all of these different strands, and then I can import them. So now all my curriculum expectations are launched into this course. And when I go to my content or my, assignments or discussions, and we haven't even gotten there yet, when I go to my content in here, I can say, all right, this part here, if I go to these three dots and go view expectations, now I can edit those aligned expectations and just toggle them off. So if I know it's, okay, so this expectation, that expectation, and this one, save those changes, and now those expectations are aligned to that activity. And notice now 3% of my expectations have been addressed inside this course. So there's a lot you can do with the content in terms of creating your own and attaching expectations and things like that. The last thing would be kind of showing you some of those master courses. So I'm trying to think of which one would be appropriate to show right now. You know what? Maybe this isn't going to work. Okay, so I'll look at the grade 8 math one that's inside here. So this, imagine if you had copied, or if I had copied this content in for you. Notice again, they've got the unit, they've got the units inside here. They're different activities, and you can end up seeing this is what their course content looks like. So there's an overview, there's a learning goal, the actual content for the courses themselves. You can just keep selecting next. And then finally, there's assignments at the end, and it kind of builds in different aspects for them. Now, just because you have ministry content doesn't mean you have to keep that ministry content the way it is. So if I look at this content page inside here, I can go to this little three dots and edit that. And in the same way where we could add in video notes or things, we can go inside here and I can change this. Okay, so I can change this text, I can add in a video note, and once I click save, it's saved for your class. Okay, now what I will say is I'm not going to do that because this is the master course and I don't want to mess with the master. But that's essentially content. I know that's actually a lot of stuff just from content alone. But there's a lot of things you can do with content. Now, I know there were some questions that came up about discussions specifically. And as you can see, like, we're here and there's all this other stuff that we could go through, but a lot of it is going to go pretty quickly. We're just going to talk about what it is. Paul, do you think you could run through discussions for us and just how to create a discussion?
Sure, I can do that. Let me make myself a presenter, share my screen. So let's look at discussions here. Okay, so if I'm in the course home here, we want to do discussions. This is one of the big challenges. We're up here in the nav bar, so I'll click onto it. Obviously, in the regular classroom, we have the kids talking all the time, and we know how important talking is to learn. That's how they work out concepts in their head. You know, the number of times in a classroom you have them turn to their table groups or to their partners and discuss a concept before you get them talking. Really important, crucial to do. So how can we do that online? Lots of different ways. The traditional way is the full class discussion that you may have taken AQ courses and had this experience where they throw everyone into one discussion room and they have a question, and then you're asked to post something and then respond to two other people's posts. So that's the basic way to do it, and it can be done. I'll show you. So I would just go new. In Brightspace, we're organized by forum and by topic. So your forum might be your unit or a collection of discussions that are connected, and then the topic is going to be a different discussion within that forum. So if I was creating a new one, I would go to new topic, and I would put it in. We only have one forum in this course so far, essential questions, so we can put it in there. I'll give my discussion a title and a description. So this is the same editor that we see all through Brightspace. So I can put whatever instructions I want. I can embed things. I can quick link to other parts of the course. I can add pictures. And again, I can add my video notes in here. I would add my discussion instructions. And then I can choose whether I want to allow students to post anonymously. I can have a moderator approving individual posts before they're displayed. And another interesting feature that a lot of teachers like is that you can require students to post a thread initially before they're able to read other threads or other posts that have been written by other students. This ensures that the students are doing their own original thinking and research, and rather than just reading other discussion posts and kind of recycling and regurgitating what's written there. So that's one option. You can set those up. You can have ratings where students are, voting up or voting down or giving star ratings to different posts. So depending on what you're up to, that's how you do that. So then you could go save and close, and then you would have a discussion there. I can post that as an announcement, or I can link to it from the course content, and the students are in there discussing. So that's the general basic way of doing discussions, but it is limited to those full group discussions. So how can I make this more dynamic and more interesting? Well, I want to set up discussion groups. So what I will do is I'm going to go to course admin, and I'm going to go to learner management and groups. Now, this is going to allow me to create as many different groups as I want and as many different configurations as I want. So this is really nice. One thing that you can do originally is set up discussion groups that are just you, a discussion group for each student where it's just you and that student in the group. And then that can be used for conferences and one-on-one discussions. You can also have students with partners if they're discussing. You can set up groups of 2. You can set up groups of any number. So if I was going to do that, let me see. So I would have a new category. And it could be anything. Now I can enroll students in a number of different ways. I can choose the number of groups. I can say I want to have 6 groups for this, and then this computer will sort out how many students go in each group and auto-enroll them. So you can have groups of a specific number. You can have a specific number of groups. You can have students self-enroll, or you can have them automatically placed into groups. A nice thing about this is if you have mindfully chosen groups where you have complementary ability levels or similar interests in groups, you can easily go in through here and handpick your groups and manage them specifically like that, which is a nice thing that you can do. And then I would just save. And then as I create a new discussion the next time around, I would be able to choose. So if I'm creating from a new topic here, as I choose my discussion types, I can choose whether it's going to be a group discussion or a regular discussion. Now, once the students are inside these discussions, they can respond to each other through text as the basic way. Another thing that they can do is use the video note. use links and all the HTML functionality that they had in the other parts of the site. They can do that so they can have more rich discussions. If you have students who feel more comfortable speaking rather than writing, or if they can express the learning more effectively verbally than they can in writing, this is one way that you can get those conversations that are so important for our assessment. Okay. And I think that was all I wanted to say. Was there anything else in discussions, do you think, Dave, that we should talk about?
Oh, I think you've covered it all. So that's great. I mean, and part of it's just going to be getting used to it by playing around with it, right? So if you've ever participated in an AQ course before, many of them use Brightspace. It's the exact same discussions tool, but just know that you have some control over who can post, when they can see other people's posts as well, and then you can do groups. And I think groups are a phenomenal way of arranging that content as well. Okay. So I know we are coming up on the hour and a half mark. There's a couple other things I just want to quickly, not the hour and a half mark, the 1:30 mark, sorry. There's a couple of things I just want to bring to your attention, and then I'll stay around and answer some questions if there are still any. To answer Inez's question, it's not the same as Blackboard. It is similar to Blackboard in the sense that it's a learning management system designed for online learning. Okay, now there are these things called assignments, and you can go through the assignments. It's in the nav bar. You can create assignment folders, link curriculum expectations, and there's multiple ways that you can have those be submitted. You can also do feedback and annotation right on top of them inside of Brightspace. And I think this part is the useful part there. The fact that when a student submits work to you, you can write directly on it or make comments directly on it inside the assignment tool. For lack of time, I'm going to refer you back to session number 4, I believe, which was on assessment, that you can use specifically for this and look back at it. Tim, I'll help you with that offline or once this session's over, okay? One other thing, there is a class list. So when you select class list in the nav bar, you can see all the students, and directly from there, you can impersonate students by selecting the dropdown, or you can email them by clicking directly on their names. There's a progress tool, which will show you a summary of what grades students have gotten, the content that they visited, any of their discussions or assignments they've submitted, things like that. Their login history as well. So the last time they logged in or did anything inside their course. There's a quizzes tool. There's also a built-in portfolio tool. With the quizzes, there's a bunch of question types you can do. Again, we're not going to have time to go through all of them. This is what happens when you try to cram probably 10 hours of information into an hour. There's a portfolio tool you can use that comes with an app. It's called the Brightspace Portfolio Tool. And it's a quick way that students can gather, similar to like an EDSB capture. So if you're looking to use Portfolio, I'll have some videos that come out specifically on that. But it's a way that students can upload and keep things for your course. You can also use rubrics inside of Portfolio and attach curriculum expectations that show up in the progress page. So there's a lot of good tools you can use. There's also a built-in gradebook that you can use, and you basically attach activities to the gradebook, and then you can assign awards based on completion of certain things. Good question right now. So Melissa, right now you may not have students under your class list, depending on if you're a homeroom teacher or not. But that's something where, yes, they should automatically load in. If you might be in a different class, so I'll have to look into that one separately, or it could be because the IT is doing some stuff inside of Trevlac right now, which as they're preparing for the changeover to Aspen. So some of the class lists may look a little bit wonky from this week on, but you should have every student that's inside there. Okay. So this is the big one. So virtual classroom. I'm just going to show you how you can set it up, and then there's going to be a video again that I create coming out. But basically, virtual classroom allows you to schedule live meetings with students. And the nice part about this is that only students can access them if they're in your class. So you can upload documents, initiate polls like we've done, annotate on the screen like we've done. And then the important piece is that students can't enter this meeting until the moderator has started it. And they also can't stay in the meeting after you've ended it. So that's a big thing in terms of privacy and making sure that students aren't in the chat rooms unsupervised. Okay, so I'm going to demo that for you very quickly. And then I think we'll be out of here in probably about 10 more minutes if you do have time for that. Okay, but again, this recording will be shared out. So in any of the nav bars here, if you do this little drop down arrow, you'll end up seeing virtual classroom as one of your options. And inside virtual classroom, you'll probably have to click next, and then you might have to click yes or I agree. It's basically giving permission to use this inside your web browser. So it's powered by Bongo, but that's Bongo's a company that the Ministry of Education and D2L trust to run the online virtual meetings. Okay, so notice I don't have any active or recorded meetings in here, but if I click on this plus icon to schedule a meeting, I can give it a title. So I'm just going to call it D2L with Dave Session 11. I can select a meeting date if I want it sometime other than now. Let's say I go to the 25th. I can give it a time. So start at 4 o'clock. Sure. And then I can select the duration of it. So I'll select just a 15-minute meeting and it doesn't repeat. Now there's 4 options down here. You can either automatically record meeting. I don't like doing that one. I just like turning on the recording when I need it. Publishing the recorded meeting just means if you record something in it, it automatically saves to this recorded meeting section down here. There's the ability to allow external participants, but I would suggest against that for any student meetings because you don't know if someone can come in and do something inappropriate. As long as you keep this checked off, then it is safe for students to use inside here. And that's the same with any meeting software, right? You would never want to have external participants or external links added because then anyone can access your virtual meeting. And you don't want to be in the situation of having harassment or anything going on like that. So once I click save, then it's going to be inside this active meeting. And I can give this little 3 dots and select launch. And then you can see that's the same page that you got when you tried to log into today's session, right? You enter the meeting room and it goes in. Now, another way that you can add that, I know Paul did a great job of showing the announcements earlier, but if I want to create an announcement here, I can actually put a link in directly to that video meeting. So I'm just going to call it video meeting, and I'm going to select this insert quick link this time, so that 3rd link. And this is essentially going to link to everything that exists in the course. So I can scroll down to the very bottom and select virtual classroom. And then that meeting that I just created is right here. And I can select that and it links directly inside there. So when you think about the student experience, if I want my students to come in and know that there's a meeting and go to it, I can put that link right inside here so that when they come in, they just click on it and it brings them to that login spot. Okay, now I know for all of you today, you didn't have to log in. You had to put your name in, but that's because I gave you an external link, which I just told you I would never do, but I would never do that for students. So when students log in, they log in based on who they are in the class list. So you're never worried about having students changing their name or not knowing who is in your meeting with you. So it's very strict and very secure in that sense. Okay, so that's basically virtual classroom. I am going to have another webinar series that comes out on the different tools you can use within virtual classroom. And yes, you are able to control the microphones in the same way, and you can boot people out as well. So right now, if Paul has his microphone on, I can mute him. I can also make Paul the presenter if he wants to now have control over the screen. And because I'm a moderator, I can take back all of that control as well. So I can give myself the presenter privileges, which I just took his away as he was drawing a pretty picture. And you can see your students. Yeah. So if any of you wanted to share your webcam, you're more than able to do that right now. You just go in the bottom, the video camera, and then click share camera, and then your webcam comes up. So if you want to have live synchronous chats with everyone, you can do that, or you can have them enable their microphone and things like that. Okay. So that's essentially.
Jump in there, Dave. If you click on your video menu, people are able to switch their view between having the full screen with Dave's face and then or the PowerPoint. They can switch between those two, but that's only if your camera's on, Dave.
Yes. Let me do that again then. Yeah. So switch view just changes the size of either if you want to see me or if you want to see the presentation. Okay. So I'm not going to go into everything else here, but there is an instant messaging and a chat feature inside if you wanted to facilitate live or instant messaging works where you can do it synchronously or asynchronously. Chat you can do synchronously so that people can jump in on the chat. You can almost use that as like a back channel if you were doing something in the course but didn't want to load up this virtual classroom. You could also load up the virtual classroom, not use the video, and just use the public chat on the side as your chat. Okay, I'm going to skip over intelligent agents, but I do want to talk about merging classes in sections. So one thing that I'm able to do, and this is something that I would need request from a teacher for, is if you're teaching multiple sections of the same class. So for example, if you have, 3 grade 8 classes at your school and you are the Rotary science teacher for all 3 of them, we can actually create you one class that has all 3 sections inside there. Okay, so if that's something you want to do, we can merge those classes. And the same thing with secondary teachers. If you're looking at, you're teaching 2 of the same prep, we can merge those in. So you only post once and it goes to everyone. But the students don't see each other from section to section. So the students in section 1 only see the students in section 1. Students in section 2 appropriately only see students from section 2. And that can work for a 7-8 split as well. So we can load in your students in section 7-8. And then sometimes when you go to post something, you can either post it so that it's directly for 7s, directly for 8s, or to both. So absolutely, yeah, that would be a great idea for split classes as well. The other thing about non-CIS courses, so non-CIS created courses, and that's what I was saying, if you want a course created for you. So I know some people have looked at, I'm a Rotary music teacher and I teach music for all grades, 5 to 8. We could create you either one course that is your music course and then have students in sections grade 5, 6, 7, 8, or we could create you, 4 different courses and load those students in. You could also use this for groups. Like if you have a team similar to how you'd use ESB groups, you can do things like that if you wanted them to be, like math contests or things like that. So we have the ability to create anything we want inside here with whoever we want inside here. But you as teachers just can't go and create a course. Right now, I have to do that for you. But it's a pretty quick turnaround if you ask me to create a course. I kind of create them in bulk, and then I kind of just assign you as a teacher to them. Okay. So that's all I wanted to cover inside of there. The last, there's 2 other things very briefly. The one is Brightspace Pulse, and Paul has actually been using this as a teacher. But the Brightspace Pulse app allows you to control your classroom as a teacher, but it also allows students to stay informed of their schedules on here, to see new things that teachers have posted. So this is an app that you can use both for teachers and for students. And and this is the great thing, I think, right here, is that students can also access the content offline. So if they go in, or if you put something in the course and you want a student to access that at a later time, what they can do is load it up on Brightspace Pulse, select allow for offline content, or I think that's what it's called, or make available offline. Then when they're accessing it, it downloads it to their phone or their iPad, and then when they're offline, they can still access it, which is very useful. Okay. And the app works on any device. So if you've got Android, if you've got iOS, they'll all work on there. Okay. The very last thing is this Brightspace Capture. And Brightspace Capture is actually a new tool that was just released by by D2L for us to use inside of Brightspace, and it allows you to make a presentation to students and record either your screen or your webcam at the same time. And that's what Paul was showing you a little bit earlier, just that there was a capture widget on the homepage. There's going to be another session coming out that goes through Brightspace Capture, but it essentially allows you to have all of these videos that you record, and it loads them directly into your course in Brightspace. So I do just want to demo very, very quickly just this one thing. So I'm just going to open up a course I've been using called Capture Demo Course. And essentially, when I record something in Capture, then so I go to new video recording. It asks me to download and install a program called the Brightspace Capture Encoder. And when you install that, then when you create a new recording, it saves it directly into your course videos. So you'll see inside of here, Paul and I think both have some videos that have been created inside here, and they just embed right inside. So if I make a recording, it's available immediately for students to access right from within here. And then there's some other things you can do with this Capture Central icon in the nav bar. But again, I'm going to be having a session that's devoted to Brightspace Capture, and I'll be making it available to everyone inside the D2L with Dave course inside of EDSB. Okay. So that's essentially what Brightspace Capture is. It allows you to share your webcam. You download the encoder and then share all of your different, share your screen and download the MP4 video afterwards or embed it afterwards. Okay. So that's basically it. I know that's been a whirlwind of information. Again, one thing I would suggest for you to do is go to EDSB. And if you are, I hope this doesn't show my password. Okay, good. If you're going in EDSB, there's an icon, should be up for everyone. It's got a nice little icon there, D2L with Dave, Brightspace. And when you go into there, notice on the side here, there's a link to the past 10 recordings, and I'll be adding in this recording there later today. So you can kind of access it directly from there. Get the recordings inside here, but you'll be able to see the things like how to create lessons. So that's the content one, communication, assessment, and all these other different ones inside here where we talk about, just using Brightspace for different mediums. And that's where I'm going to be posting all of the additional videos as well. So if you have questions, by all means, put them inside of here. Craig Guthrie actually had a great suggestion for me as well. So what I'm going to do is create a Microsoft form that will allow you to request a course being created for you. So if you need a course to be created, and if you need content created in, then I'll create a form that you can fill out, and basically I'll be able to check that and then get you exactly what you need. Okay. So
there are a number of questions left over from the chat that we haven't talked about yet. Would you like to talk about those too?
Yeah, so I'm going to leave the recording on just so that we can answer those questions together. And then once that's done, I'm going to boot everyone from this meeting. So if you guys want to leave, feel free to leave. If you want to stay for the Q&A at the end, then by all means, you're welcome to. Okay, so yeah, Paul, what are the questions we've got?
Okay, well, the first one was Michael, and he had a difficult situation where he's an elementary Rotary teacher with 18 separate courses. So sort of how do you manage that? How do you organize that? And I think you did talk a bit about combining courses, and I think depending on what the situation is, there might be some, if you're teaching 4 different sections of the same course, those could be combined.
Yeah, and I think so. So we need to find out a little bit more about Michael's specific situation, and then I could make a recommendation. But yeah, just thinking about the ways that those could potentially be combined. Is it because I'm assuming they would have to be either some of the same grade level or some of the same courses. So if that's the case, then we would be able to do that. So let's hope.
Yeah. So contact us, Dave or Michael, and we can look at that and more. Karen had a question, and I feel like we probably covered it by this point. What's the difference between Edsby and Brightspace? And I feel like between the content, the discussions, the virtual classroom, the announcements, the app, the video notes. I guess I would also mention, what do you think, Dave, that this is a provincial standard tool?
Yeah. So when you look at Brightspace, here's the thing. I don't want anyone to think that we're saying don't use Edsby in any way, or saying that don't use D2L. It's just a board provided, or it's the ministry provided platform for online learning. So we've been this is what we use in secondary for online learning, and with the announcement of mandatory e-learning courses. This is the platform that we use for those. So we've been using that for the past 8 or 9 years already. But the ministry is basically just, they support this. They provide funding for my job so that I can support teachers in using this. They provide pedagogical support, and they make sure that everything is kind of standardized across the province. So where our board is using this, you're going to have other teachers in the province, across the province, who are using this as well, in the same way that there's other teachers across the province using Edsby. So I don't think we would be saying, go one way or the other. We just want to make everyone aware that, this is available, and this has been designed for online learning, right? So when you look at, if you wanted to run a fully online course, this has all the tools you could ever need in order to do that. And because it's what it was designed to do. And that's why the ministry has procured this for every single school board, because they know how great of a tool it is. But that's not to say that that it's better in any way than another platform. It's just the one that we have access to, and that the board would say, you can use Edsby, you can use Teams, you can use D2L or Brightspace. That's basically the only things that we can use. I guess we can use My Blueprint as well for other things. But like, outside of that realm, we're not supposed to be using any of those tools. So we're not supposed to be using Remind 101, Seesaw, any of those other functional tools, because of privacy purposes. And so that's how I would kind of frame that. Craig, do you want to speak to that as well?
Yeah, you're totally right on that, Dave. I mean, this is just another platform that teachers are welcome to use. Whatever you're comfortable with. Edsby's where you're comfortable with, then great. If you like D2L, then hop into that, great. Dave did mention that there are some resources that are no longer available to us, such as like Schoology or Class Dojo or something like that. So this is just, I think, a great resource to run your blended learning or fully online learning class.
Thanks for that. Okay, what other questions do we have?
Couple quick ones. Amy was asking about agency schools, and I think did you talk to this one? Agency schools did not have preloaded Trevlac files, so do you need to load up those courses, or are they able to do that independently?
Yeah, so specifically for agency schools and the privacy piece, that's why we don't have those in there. So if you want a course, just message me. I can add them in, and it'll probably be something that we can talk through email about. But absolutely, so I can manually create those courses. We just don't have them as part of our automatic upload from Trevlac.
Sure. Laura had a question. Is there a homeroom page? So I'm thinking she's wondering how to organize this with the classroom. So how would you have homeroom as distinguished from other subjects?
So we could do, it depends on if you already have a course created or not. But we could manually create you a course and load all those students in to the homeroom. And then depending on what it is you want to have. So if you're in a homeroom and you're not going to be using quizzes inside there, then we can remove those and you can personalize what it is you want inside that page. But yeah, it's absolutely possible. I would just need to know if those courses are created already inside of Brightspace or if they're not created. And then I can get the class list either from Trevlac or from Edsby or wherever.
Sounds good.
Yeah, if things aren't showing, give me 1 second. If things aren't showing up inside of Brightspace, it's probably because of the way that we have seen elementary usage, and so it's just we didn't pull in Rotary classes, let's say, and part of those are because they're school decisions, and they may not actually be inside of Trevlac. So. So basically with that, if there's any course that you want, just email me or fill out the form once I create that form and put it in the Edsby group. And then from there, you can just tell me what it is you need, and I'll get to work on it.
Okay. Jenna and Najit were wondering, in virtual classroom, if students have their cameras on, how many can be seen at a time?
That is a good question.
You want to try it?
Yeah, I'd like to try it. I'm not sure. For everyone who's here, can you turn on a webcam? Let's see.
Do we have to make them presenters to do so?
I don't know.
Oh, here they are. Okay.
I've got 2. No.
Hi, everybody. Look at this.
So I wonder, hang on, I'm going to take off, I'm going to go take off that presentation. Actually, not take off the presentation, but if I go to the share camera thing and go swap, then I see 9 right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's more than 9 in here.
It looks like it might just keep condensing them the more they get added.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, Sandra, I'm so jealous that you're outside in the backyard right now. All I hear is my kids in the background and my wife controlling them. All right, so we've got at least 9. I'll look into that specific answer, Najat, and see how many it can have. Okay.
Okay. Next question. Corinne wanted to know if she wants to merge. She has 2 classes she wants to merge. Can she do that on her own, or does she contact you?
Yep. You've got to contact me to merge your classes. So until we find out a better way of doing that, but I can do it pretty quickly. So as long as I'm not inundated with a bunch of requests, like don't ask me to do it. It's say, hey, I need that merged in the next 5 minutes. That probably won't work, but
okay.
But yeah.
Haley had a question. If I've uploaded a video note and I want to delete it, is that possible?
That is also a good question. I think you are, but I think I'll have to look and see where it is. So one thing to be sure of is that you only have access to your video notes. So if you want to delete it, you could always delete it from the content. So if you've loaded it into the content, you can delete it from in there. I'll have to look into where specifically you would go to delete the video recording. But the video recording belongs to you. It doesn't belong to D2L in any way. They don't take ownership of any of our content.
And that's pretty much it, Dave. The very last one was just you were going to follow up with Tim. He was editing content, and I think he was in one of the old style courses when he didn't have the 3 dots for editing.
Okay, yep. And is he still in here? Tim is still in here. Okay, so I'll probably take that one off the recording, and then I'll just deal with that individually. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for this, Tim. If you can just email me, and I'll contact you a little bit later on today. I think I just have to do a little bit of dad duty, and then yeah, I'll get back to you. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to use my favorite feature, which is I'm going to end the meeting for all, which means you will all get kicked out. And I like that because it's safe and secure. So I'm going to stop the recording now.